So I'm hearing learning, change management. So the human is very much at the center.
Human is absolutely at the center. I'm so glad you said that because that's where it starts. It starts even when you're making decisions around the changes you want to make. A lot of the ideas come from the humans. The people who are closest to the problem are the ones who actually come up with the best answers and potential solutions. I think we're moving out of the dialogue around productivity and we're moving into the dialogue around outcome and really business value.
Welcome to the Work Intelligence Lab podcast. I'm your host, Carla Fletcher, and this episode is part of our Now and Next series where we revisit conversations from Davos and explore what they mean for organizations today and what comes next. I'm joined by ManpowerGroup's Chief Growth and Innovation Officer, Valerie Beaulieu, reflecting on her conversations with Deb Cupp, President of Microsoft Americas. AI adoption may be accelerating, but many organizations are still figuring out how to turn capability into meaningful outcomes. In this conversation, Deb explores why transformation is not just about technology, and very much what we know is about people, skills, and redesigning the way work gets done. This discussion also looks at the balance between top-down leadership and bottom-up innovation, and why the employees closest to the work often hold the best ideas for change. Let's get into the conversation.
Could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Deb Cupp, and I'm the President and Chief Revenue Officer for Microsoft's Enterprise Business.
Very nice to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I will go straight into the question. So
Sure.
AI is on every lips, and it continues to be the topic that is very much talked about. And I was curious, we see in our research, in our conversation with our clients, there are employees who feels very comfortable with the change and adopting technology, some who are far less. What have you seen of that difference, whether at Microsoft or with your clients?
Yeah, I think I think a lot of it has to come down to education and understanding and skilling. So I think generally people are uncomfortable with things they don't understand, which is very, very natural. I think it's been so hot. Everyone's talking about it constantly. And I think if you haven't had an opportunity to experience it yourself, it creates fear and it creates just an uncertainty. So we find when our clients and their customers take the time to sort of learn, understand, and skill, you are in a place where you can adapt more quickly to change. And so it actually, in many cases, when customers or people are doing that, then they see opportunity versus fear or uncertainty. So I think I couldn't say enough about the focus of skilling and taking time to learn. I think it creates a better energy for people to try new things.
So I've seen that Microsoft obviously is very much at the head of the spear in terms of the transformation in AI. I was curious, as you saw your clients adopting AI, did you have unexpected learnings of things that happened that you really didn't expect?
Yeah, I think it's when you're involved in technology, you're always inspired by the things that technology can do and create, which is really, really exciting. I think this transformation is so centered on change management. It's something that did sort of surprise me. I think when you first start thinking about it, you think, okay, we'll just make sure everybody understands the capability and the technology, and we'll help people understand how it can apply. And then you realize you are really transforming business processes. You're really changing the way people work. That is change management. So we always say to our customers, yes, you think about it from the technology standpoint. We also, of course, think about it from a security standpoint, but understand the depth of the change management that has to occur in your organization to actually get to success.
So I'm hearing learning, change management. So the human is very much at the center.
Human is absolutely at the center. I'm so glad you said that because that's where it starts. It starts even when you're making decisions around the changes you want to make. A lot of the ideas come from the humans. The people who are closest to the problem are the ones who actually come up with the best answers and potential solutions. So we say it's so important that your employees are part of these dialogues and discussions.
I love this point about talking to the practitioner.
Yes.
What's the relationship between leadership, top-down push, and bottom-up? What do you see?
Yeah, I think the best example of success is when it's a combination of both. So you want to make sure leadership, as always, should set the tone and the perspective and the expectation. But then when you empower people that are working every single day, and so in our world, we think about that in terms of things like Copilot, they have their hands on, they're understanding what the potential is. And so we see often that a groundswell of people saying, and even in Microsoft, a groundswell of people saying, here are the things that we think we could do. Here are the changes that we think we could make. Here's the outcome that we think that would create. And then top down, you really have to be clear on your expectations. So the one things we don't suggest is we don't want people running off sort of chasing shiny objects. You want to be really clear that we're invested and we're interested in this change curve, but it has to have an ROI associated with it, or at least some level of KPI on what you're trying to accomplish, because all of this is about creating outcomes that create value for the company, and in turn then create value for the employees and for their customers as well.
I want to build on that because this morning I was lucky to be sitting at Satya's conversation at the WEF, and he mentioned something along the lines, we need to stop admiring AI and make it do something for society.
That's right.
I'm curious about how, and if you have anecdotes maybe of how companies are looking at AI to really change their workflows and not being in the incremental transformation.
Yes. Yeah, it's a great point, and I think it's a really well said by Satya as always. We see it every single day, and I'll just give you examples even for us. Like, we are in the process of transforming the way our sales organizations work in some of our small and medium businesses, and that's about accessing Copilot, using the technology to help our sales teams prepare for customer conversations, to build proposals, to interact with customers. We see 9% increase in their outcomes just by doing those small things. So it's changing the way that they work. They're not spending their time coming in and out of different systems. They're using Copilot as their UI for AI. So they enter in one place. In our case, they actually do that via Teams, which is awesome. And then they have the chance to pull information, whether it's from the web or from internally, to actually better prepare themselves for the dialogue that they're going to have for their customers. So there's things like that that we see. We see tremendous work happening in healthcare, where there's so much opportunity to really think about fatigue. We know that healthcare workers just experience tremendous fatigue with the day-to-day. So we're trying to find ways with AI to help with transcription, with paperwork. We see our hospitals actually impacting up to 30 to 40% of people's experience as fatigue comes down when they have a chance to take out some of that work. That's really driving, they want to spend more time with patients. So we want to create opportunity for them to do that. Those are some good examples.
Yeah, that's a wonderful example because it's really focused on the output and not so much on the productivity that is always waved as kind of a magic bullet.
Yes, so. and I do think it's I think we're moving out of the dialogue around productivity and we're moving into the dialogue around outcome and really business value.
So one last thing, in our research, we've seen that obviously adoption is going very strong in companies. Most companies are having training, awareness programs, etc. But at the same time, we see the confidence from employees about AI being truly able to change their work retrieving. What do you have as ideas about explaining this dissonance between the two stats?
I still think it's a learning curve. So I think just like anything, when you start something new, it's hard, right? So there's always a bit of a dip before there's an increase in understanding, in activation. And so I think that's what we're feeling. I think so many companies have started the journey, and sometimes when you're in that learning mode, it might require an extra step or an extra time to learn and explore. But then I think you start to see that piece come down and then sort of the excitement come back up because they're actually seeing, again, outcomes associated with the work that they're doing.
Is it a key element to really build the trust?
Oh, I think you just have to continue to see progress to build trust. And I think you have to continue to invest. So as companies, you need to continue to invest in your people so that they understand, they learn. Back to sort of what we were saying earlier, like keep that progress alive in terms of the skilling and enablement, because this is changing fast. And so you want to make sure that you're continuing to provide that capability to your people.
I want to be conscious of your time. Any things that you want to highlight relative to AI adoption and the human at the center? Anything we haven't discussed?
I think you nailed it. I mean, I think it really is, to your point, it is about human ambition. And are we creating opportunities to allow our people to do their very best work? Are we creating opportunities to reinvent business processes so that we have better outcomes? Are we able to really impact our customer experiences? These are the things that we all care about. And then, of course, you have this opportunity to really create innovation for companies all over the world, which is really exciting.
Deb, thank you so very much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Take care.
Soon.